right. Hello, everybody. This is a first time in a long time. It's not the Claus Corner. It's not local artist show. We're going back to the first show I ever did with John Bristol, who edits everything here. It's called Real Talk, where he and I used to talk about movies all the time. We did several, like The Thing, Invasion of Body Snatchers, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and so on and so on. So we have a special guest. As you can see, John is not here. And this show has been 65 million years in the making. We're talking about Jurassic Park, of course, the original, which came out on June 9th, 1993. So I want to talk this before we can get started. I want to introduce Nicki LaPorte. How are you, Nicki?
I'm great. How are you?
I am great. Thank you very much for being a part of this. I know you're the one who asked me about this. I don't know how long ago. I said, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So finally, we're getting to it. I'm so glad. I haven't seen the movie in a while. I know you are a huge fan as well as I am. So you can probably refresh my memory on some of the details that I don't remember. But I do remember in the early 90s, two of my favorite not entertainers, but like one of my favorite writers of all time has to be Michael Crichton. One of my favorite directors has to be Steven Spielberg. And that is the ultimate collaboration. And I didn't realize this. You probably knew this. They actually bought the rights before the novel was even written. They bought the rights for the movie.
Yeah, they were real excited about it. I didn't read the book until I was a little bit older.
Yeah.
Because the movie came out when I was in my prime dinosaur loving phase. I was 8 years old and just I knew everything about dinosaurs. I mean, even still to this day, if I go to a museum and I see like a dinosaur, I'll just shout out Dilophosaurus or something ridiculous. So sometimes I'm not like the best person to take to a museum because I love dinosaurs so much. But I don't know nearly as much as like 7 and 8 year old Nikki knew. But I can still throw down with some dinosaur experts from here and from now and then.
All right. So I'm not sure how old you were when the movie came out. So you were younger. Did you know when it was coming out? Did you have any idea what this was and how big it was going to be, or did you say, "Oh, cool, another dinosaur movie"?
Nope, my family and I always went to the movies together, and I was probably like too young to go see it. But I went with my parents. I'm an only child, so my parents are young, and so I was 8 by June of 93, and I just remember with that opening scene, it's all in the dark and it's raining and it's terrifying and you know something bad's gonna happen, and my mom's like sinking back and she's like, oh, and I'm just at the edge of my seat, like so excited, living my best life. And the town I grew up in had one of those really cool secondary circuit, I guess, movie theaters, and it was like $2 to go see the movie. So after the movie was done playing in the regular theater, and I'd seen it probably 15 times, I went and saw another like 10 or 15 times over the summer because it was only $2. And my parents would take me and my best friend, and they would alternate, and then the babysitters taking us and all that just to keep us occupied.
Funny you said this, because you know what is so great about Steven Spielberg is I had a similar experience, but it was with Jaws. So I was 7 years old when Jaws came out, and I remember when my parents, it was the summer of 1975. I was in first grade. My brothers were about a year apart. I'm the oldest, so I was 7. One was 6, the other one was about 4.5. My father's like, "Oh, you want to go see Jaws?" I'm like, "All right." So we saw it. Ended up seeing it 17 times in the theater, and it was the same thing where my mother screamed when Quint got eaten and Shark jumped on the boat. My mother jumped out of her chair, screamed. I just love the fact that he makes most of his movies an event. Everybody gets into it. Everybody's on the edge of their seat. He's just such a great filmmaker. And I have to say, I am a huge, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge Michael Crichton fan. I read a lot of his books, and this is definitely the best, probably the only good adaptation of one of his books from a movie. Because, I mean, Michael Crichton did direct some of his own stuff, and that was good. But to me, Jurassic Park was the best adaptation from novel to film. there wasn't a lot. I mean, there were actually, I think I was reading an article. Michael Crichton said he took maybe a third or maybe a little bit more than that of the novel. And I think they put a little bit more into part two. And then they used some of the deaths in that, like, I guess Hammond, for example, was supposed to die. He died in the book, but they used that death for something else and for another character. So he definitely moved things around, but he made it such a, you can enjoy, because a lot of times I'll read a book and I'll say, oh boy, the movie's going to stink. There's no way it's going to, but I can enjoy the movie just as much as I can enjoy the book, even though there's a lot of differences.
Yeah, I haven't read the book in a long time. I probably should reread it.
Yeah. So, well, it was funny that when it came out, I just love how easily people are influenced. When that movie came out, there was such an uptick in people who wanted to be a paleontologist. Everybody wanted to be a dinosaur expert. Everybody wanted to do that. I guess it's just like it was. I mean, I can get pretty much every movie I see. There's always an example would be Fast and Furious. I came out in the parking lot. There's people doing tires. I'm like, are you really that easily influenced by a movie? But the fact is, I think it's funny that everybody says, "Oh my God, I want to learn about dinosaurs now." So they said there was such a big spike in that from that movie.
Do you have a favorite dinosaur?
I don't really know. I'm not really into dinosaurs, but I got to say, in that movie, I love the Velociraptors. I love the raptors. And do you know about? I mean, I'll get your opinion on this because I don't know if you heard about this. I guess Velociraptors in real life are much, much smaller. Spielberg wanted to make them more menacing. And what's funny is after they filmed it or after it came out, whatever happened, it was somewhere after that, they found the bones of Velociraptor the same size as the one in the movie.
So the one that they found that's the same size as the movie is the Utah raptor.
Ah, okay.
Obviously found in Utah. I love like how science changes, and I'm not a science denier by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm sorry, raptors don't have wings or feathers. I'm firmly stuck in my like 8-year-old, like, no, this is how they are. They're in the movie this way. So that's how it is.
So what do they really look like?
The same, but with feathers on their.
Okay, so that's really the only difference.
And the tails are thicker again with feathers. There's a lot of like really recent drawings that are pretty cool.
Well, it's like with the Dilophosaurus. From what I heard, they're not spitters.
No, but the Dilophosaurus is Connecticut state dinosaur.
Oh, see, I did not know that. So I'm learning a lot in this show.
You got to go to Dinosaur State Park. When they were building and blasting to put Interstate 91 in, they found dinosaur tracks, and that's when they discovered the Dilophosaurus was here. It's a little bit bigger than I think they were in the movie, but they don't spit. But I mean, that was just fun, fake science for the drama of the movie. So when they were building the highway, they had to stop and kind of reroute the highway a little bit to save the dinosaur tracks. And they still have dinosaur tracks underground outside of Dinosaur State Park, and they just haven't excavated them. They covered them back up because they wanted to put it inside another building, and they just don't have the money, and they've been underground since like the 60s still.
I haven't been to that place probably in about 15, 20 years, but I went there as a kid. I went there, like I said, about 20 years ago as an adult, and I love that place. I'm always intrigued by it, always interested. And so I want to go back there and refresh my memory on that because I probably did see that, but I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. It's relatively cheap. It's like $6 to go in. So
yeah, that's definitely worth it. There's so many, I mean, Nikki and I are from Connecticut. I think when I can't stand when somebody goes, "Oh, Connecticut's so boring." You don't really have any interest in because Connecticut is full of so many interesting places to go to and things to do.
Yes.
And for me, I can tell like you like the Mark Twain House. You like the Dinosaur Museum. So you're really into museums and history and things like that. And I love the fact that you want to learn and you're very informative of different things that you like. And that's why it was perfect to have you on the show because you were like the what's my doctor, was it Ian Malcolm? You're the Ian Malcolm of this show right now.
Yeah. I should be sexy Ian Malcolm, but I've decided to keep my shirt on.
Come on, don't worry about it. This is real talk after dark.
Uh,
Feel
I know I
feel free.
wear if I was gonna wear my like Ellie Sadler shirt, but um, I it's kind of chilly in here today, so I put up Jurassic World or Jurassic Park hoodie that I bought.
That's why I'm wearing this too. I'm wearing a hoodie as well. It's kind of cold where I am in the basement where I record the shows here.
But I have Starbucks Jurassic Park mug to drink my water out of tonight.
Is this your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time. I hemmed and hawed about that, and then just the way that the special effects have held up. That it's a movie about dinosaurs, but only like 10 to 12% of the movie is actual dinosaurs. Because the mix of the actual practical effects with minimal CGI, it's just really stood the test of time. I love it. And it's, it's got its jump scares, it's got the high anxiety, like when the kids are in the kitchen being chased by the velociraptor. I've seen the movie 100 times. I know how it's gonna end, but I still, are they gonna make it?
You know what I love? I mean, that's got to be one of the first movies where I think Twister came out a little bit before that, if I'm correct. And with the CGI. But did you hear I mean, I know you know this, but I'll tell our listeners, and I'll start it off, and you can elaborate on it. But they were originally going to do, well, I think it was stop motion for a little bit, but then they were going to do, or like not puppets, but it was Phil Tippett was in charge of the dinosaurs, and one of the people working for him said, it was for ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, said, "Oh, we can do it with CGI," and you're like, "That's not going to work, not going to work." So I guess from what I saw, I don't know how true it is, because I saw one documentary where he was going behind the back of Phil Tippett and sending stuff to Kathleen Kennedy, the producer, and Spielberg. And Spielberg said, "Oh my God, I love this. I want to do more of this." And Phil Tippett made a comment saying, "I think we've just become extinct," and he loved that line so much that he put that in the movie for Malcolm. I don't know if you know anything about that, or you can elaborate what you know.
I know it was Stan Winston who made the practical effects. And then the CGI group that worked together to make it happen. And the raptor suits are just really incredible too.
Oh yeah, but the good thing is that they needed the people that Phil Tippett and the other people to help out with the CGI, so they didn't end up losing their job. But that was, I guess, there was only going to be one scene. Which dinosaurs were there? Where they were running through the field?
The IMS where they're flocking and herding,
yes.
and Dr. Grant's like, "Oh, they're moving in herds," and then the little boy goes, "They're flocking this way."
Yeah, that would be the scene. I think that was going to be one of the only scenes that they had CGI, and he saw that and he goes, "I want to do more of this." And then they said he really didn't think they'd be able to make the T-Rex look believable, but I saw the CGI. I was watching the making of it not too long ago, and they showed the CGI of the T-Rex, and I guess the one thing that they wanted to make it look, because what the way the head moved, they wanted to make it move faster than it really would have moved to make it scarier.
Yeah, another thing they do that to make it scarier is having the dinosaurs roar with their mouths open. And the current science is that they probably didn't open their mouths to roar. If you think about closest reptiles like alligators, crocodiles, they don't open their mouths to roar. It's like a deep guttural sound, but that's not scary, and you're not going to see a full mouth of teeth. So they, took some dramatic liberties, or the science they just didn't know at the time.
It was probably a mixture of both. An example, because I'll give you an example to Jaws, the way Spielberg does movies. I'm sure you know that movie, and I don't think it's any spoiler alert when the shark blows up. If it is, well, sorry, too late. But the author Peter Benchley said, "Come on, there's no way that people are going to believe it. This is just stupid." And he goes, "Come on, I've had this audience for 2 hours. They're going to go with it." Because in the book, the shark just gets tired and dies. It just sinks to the bottom. That's the end of the book. The book is not good at all. I mean, I highly recommend that nobody read that book. The movie was great. But so Peter Benchley went into the screening of Jaws, people cheered, clapped, stood up, standing ovation, sat back down, more standing ovation at the end of the movie. And then he went up to Spielberg and said, "All right, I apologize. Spielberg's like, he goes, I know what the audience is like." So I'm pretty sure like with that too. And it was funny because when they were filming, Spielberg was making the noises of the dinosaur. So the actors and Sam Neill, who played Dr. Grant, said it was so hard not to laugh because if you watch it online, it's hilarious. Because just so the actors know when to react and what to look at. Mm-hmm. Then they went back in post and put the animal noises in.
Yeah, I think they used a mixture of sounds to create it. I want to say off the top of my head, one of the sounds is actually like a dolphin noise, like slowed down and pitch changed, along a couple other just sounds mixed together to create each individual dinosaur.
So for you, I don't know if you mentioned this already, even if it's not in the movie, what's your favorite dinosaur of all time?
Okay, so it's not in the movies, and it's relatively new. It's called the Protoceratops. It's the size of a sheep, so you could keep it in your house. And it is a herbivore, just like me. However, recently they found out it's in the Triceratops family, Protoceratops, Triceratops. So it's got like the frill and that kind of like beaky face, but on the edge of the beak they found a tooth. So there's a current theory with them that they think that Protoceratops could also have just been a scavenger as well. So if there was extra meat on a carcass it passed, it would chew on that too, which is kind of cool. But I like them because they're small. I could keep it in the house.
Pet, and they're herbivores.
They were found in Asia, but they're cool. That one's my current favorite. I also like Pachycephalosaurus. Those are the bald guys. And 10, 15 years ago, everyone thought that they butted heads, but they would just have such severe head trauma that they butted each other probably in the sides. There's a really brilliant museum up in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's more geared towards children, but sometimes they do adult nights. And one night they did drinking with the dinosaurs, and there was a paleontologist on site, and all I wanted to do was talk to the paleontologist. And the poor guy, I was like, "Oh, what's your job here at the museum? This is so cool." And he's like, "Well, I am a paleontologist, but my main job here is a janitor." So I wonder if he was like one of the hundreds that decided to become a paleontologist from Jurassic Park and just like couldn't get a job. But he was my favorite person at that event.
That's funny. He's probably the most knowledgeable too.
Yeah, we were just going like toe to toe with like dinosaur facts and stuff, and my friends finally like found me and they're like, "Can we like do something else now?" It's like, okay.
Yeah. So in the movie then, what would be your favorite? Would it be the raptor, the T-Rex, Dilophosaurus?
I don't know. I when it came out, it was definitely Triceratops was my favorite because I also grew up on the Land Before Time cartoon. But I think probably the T-Rex, just so cool and giant. And when the sound of him stepping and the place shaking, it was, the drama of the T-Rex is probably what I really enjoy from the movie.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned the T-Rex because originally the T-Rex wasn't supposed to kill the raptor. And Spielberg's like, you have to have a grand finale. The audience is going to be so disappointed if you don't have the grand finale with the T-Rex. And that's when they created that scene where the T-Rex grabs the raptor and kills it, which I love that ending.
Yeah. And all the scars that T-Rex got from the raptor fight, you see in the later movies too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let's talk. Another thing that makes this movie so great and pretty much makes every movie that he does great is the John Williams score. That music is just, it gets you. Like a lot of people, I can't stand when people say this, and I get this a lot. Oh, classical music is boring. I said, watch a movie without music and tell me how boring it really is.
Yeah.
That's what makes you scared. That's what makes you cry. That's what makes you laugh. And,
yeah. when the latest when Jurassic World Dominion came out, I believe it was in June this year, last year now.
Yeah.
I went to a double feature. So there was like a special event. You could watch the original Jurassic Park and then Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic World Dominion had the new characters, but also brought back Ian Malcolm and Ellie Sadler, Dr. Grant, and a couple other people that I'm not gonna say to like avoid spoilers. People who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But, so they showed the original Jurassic Park beforehand. That alone was worth the ticket price because I probably cried through the whole thing. Like when the score starts and it's the first scene, and then you're halfway through it and you're like, oh no, I'm halfway through it. And then at the end, it was so nice to see it in the big screen and relive it and feel the rumble of the T-Rex and the music. It was great. I wish they would do a lot more throwbacks in the movies. I don't know.
I mean, obviously Jurassic's your favorite. What would be for me the next best one? Because I have to admit I didn't watch all of them. In between, I got a little bored, but I did watch the last one, and I was so happy to see they brought some of the original characters back. And I think that made it, and it was much better than I thought it was going to be. And I think that it was because of the fact they brought those characters back, and it sort of brought, like you said, sort of like a callback and brought things back, and I enjoyed it much more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was fun. You can't make a dinosaur movie and have me like hate it though. So I'm probably really biased about that.
Yeah.
It was I think the last one was great, and the first Jurassic World was really fun as well. Like Jurassic Park, the second one was mediocre. The third one was but Jurassic World and Jurassic World Dominion were really good too.
Yeah. What do you think of what's her name? Bryce Dallas Howard. I mean,
I thought she was great.
yeah.
I thought it was a little ridiculous that she's running around in heels, but that was kind of like the anti-feminist message. I think the first movie, the original Jurassic Park, is extremely feminist because all the dinosaurs who the movie's about are female. You have Dr. Sadler, who's trying to solve the problems of the Triceratops that's sick. And then you have Lex, the little girl, who's the computer nerd to her brother, but she's a hacker. And she's the one who like turns the park back online and saves the day. And I think it's a very feminist film.
Never thought of it like that, but yeah, you're right. It is.
So Bryce Howard in the heels was kind of like anti-feminist, but I mean, you could still be kick ass and wear heels and run through Dinosaur Park, I guess, too, because she did it.
Well, I was gonna say she proved it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny. I was reading old reviews of the movie with Roger Ebert, and I want to get your opinion on this. He said the main stars of the movie obviously are dinosaurs. He said he thought that the actors were basically cardboard cutouts. They were boring, they were generic, and they really didn't bring anything to the movie. What's your opinion on that?
False. I mean, come on. Ian Malcolm is great.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I disagree with him too, but what was that?
You either love him or you hate him. And
I know.
a hero or a villain. And he comes back in later films too. And just, the classic sexy Ian Malcolm look, his great one-liners. Oh my gosh, I have a couple of them.
That's what I'm looking at. I have the second computer up just so I can, because there's so much trivia in this movie, so many things that we can talk about. But obviously the one that, as I brought up earlier, is that they brought it up because it actually happened was from Phil Tippett said, he goes, now we become extinct. And then that was a iconic line from him in the movie. There's something to that effect.
So, yeah, when it was like, God creates dinosaurs, God gets dinosaurs, inherit the earth. But then Ellie Sadler goes, dinosaurs eat man, women inherit the earth. Again, another solid feminist point of our film.
You're just proving your point over and over again. That's funny. Yeah, and I disagree with Roger Ebert as well. I thought the characters were really very well cast. I liked the characters, and it was funny. I was reading the audition for the girl. I think her name was Lex in the movie, but was it Ariana Richards? I think her name. But her whole audition was just screaming. And what happened was she woke up. I think one of the assistants' wife, and she said, "Is everybody okay?" And that's when Spielberg said, "All right, this is our girl." So I guess they had somebody else in mind, but her father ended up killing her. They had some little actress. I forgot what her name is. I was reading it the other day. She was maybe like an 8-year-old girl. She was going to be in the movie, and then her father killed her. I thought, because was she in any of the other ones or no?
No.
I didn't think so. Yeah, neither was Tim. What's his name? Tim or?
Yeah, no, he wasn't in any of them either.
Do you know anything about them after did they ever act in any other movies?
I don't.
Okay, I was just curious. I think originally I was reading this that James Cameron was originally going to direct the movie, and then what happened was the rights were bought a few hours before he could bid, and then upon seeing this movie, Cameron realized that Spielberg was the better choice to direct it, and I guess Michael Crichton thought the same thing too. Which similar to, I'm basically superheroed out. I don't really like superhero movies because I think there's too many. That's just my opinion. But the reason I'm bringing that up was that Spielberg originally was going to do Spider-Man, but Sam Raimi did it. And I said, that's a perfect example of Spielberg is not for this movie, but Sam Raimi is. That's definitely his forte. And I think that with Spielberg and dinosaurs and children and science fiction, yeah, he's definitely the perfect director for that.
I agree. Yeah.
You you said you haven't read the book in a while, right?
No, probably not since I was like 10 years old.
Yeah. I probably read it right around the time it came out, which was 1990. The movie came out in 93, so it's been a long time. But I know I was just going to get your opinion on some of the differences in the book and the movie. But what I like about Crichton is that he does his homework. I mean, he makes every scenario plausible.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's totally plausible that a bunch of rich people would get together and create a dinosaur park like just for the wealthy. That's like a brief plot point in the book, like, oh well, or sorry, in the movie, where they're like, oh, I guess we'll have a coupon day or something.
Oh yeah, because for originally they're like, well, we can charge anything we want, $2 million. No, this is going to be for everybody. And believe me, I would love to go to a park like that if it really existed.
6 movies on why you shouldn't go to a park like that. I would still probably try to go to a park like that.
I just want to see some more of let's see. They were saying the Michael Crichton was saying the character closest to what he believes in is Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm. He said that basically what he was saying was how he really thinks about dinosaurs and what he did.
The life finds a way and the chaos theory is life effect, all that. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, I mean, he pretty much, for me, I think he plays the same character in every movie, but he's always good.
Which is fine. Which is
no, exactly.
On himself, and that's totally fine. He's actually a really fairly well-known in LA jazz pianist.
Yes.
So I don't know the name of the bar, unfortunately, sorry. But I know like you can just go to this piano bar and every couple times a month he's there, he's playing piano and he'll talk to people and hang out and take requests. So a friend of mine met him a couple times when she was out in LA going to that bar.
Wait, some of them in LA. Maybe I can get him for the podcast.
Please.
Get him for the Claus Corner.
Yeah. Because then he said he's talking with Dr. Sadler about talking to Dr. Grant about Ellie Sadler. He's like, oh, are you guys an item? Like, do you have kids? And he's like, I have kids. Yeah, I've got ex-wives, but I'm always looking for another future ex Mrs. Malcolm. And every time he says that, I'm like, sign me up.
Well, you know what's funny about that is they ended up he and Laura Dern ended up dating during that movie. So in the movie, he's flirting with her, and Sam Neill's character, Dr. Grant's getting jealous. And in real life, those two end up going out for a while.
I think even like Sam Neill and Laura Dern a little bit too.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because she was pretty young. I mean, she was an adult, but there's quite an age difference there.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's sort of like the way Carrie Fisher was on Star Wars, huh?
Yeah. When the movie came out, I didn't. An adult was an adult. If you were over like 12, you were pretty much everyone was 30.
Oh,
So
yeah, I know.
I didn't know the age difference. They were all adults. So
Yeah. And then there's let's see. Oh, yeah, it says what I was talking about before. It says the novel was published in 1990, as I mentioned. However, the pre-production of the film began in 1989 using only Michael Crichton's manuscript, and it was widely believed that such a hit that it would make an outstanding movie. It turns out that the assumption was, of course, true. So that's funny because I guess like Crichton himself, before it even came out, got like $1.5 million just for doing that.
when did when did Land Before? I'm looking up when Land Before Time came out. 1980. So that's only 5 years before. So you have kids like me who grew up on dinosaurs. And then there was that weird dinosaur film too that I watched all the time on VHS that had Fred Savage in it, and it was a lot of claymation and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I forgot what it's called, but it was, yeah. I never watched the whole thing, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was like a peak dinosaur time and sci-fi time. And then you have Universal Studios opening up in Florida with all these rides too, which really pulled more people into it.
Well, you know what's fun? I'm sure you know about this. There's some kind of Jurassic World tour going on. It's starting. Did you hear about this?
We went to one in Philly. It was at
Oh,
the Museum of Science out there. We ended up buying tickets and going for a long weekend, and it was definitely mostly families with children. And then there was my husband, our friend, and me, the grown ass child. Just like dinosaurs and like stay, and they like kept walking through, and I would like stay in the T-Rex room and just keep shouting over and over again, "Where's the goat? Where's the goat? Where's the goat?"
Just one second. So is it the same thing that's starting? It didn't even start yet. It says Jurassic World Live Tour. Is that the one?
No, so I was do
I can't see. Never mind.
no,
Can't.
I did something different. It was like an exhibit of some kind when Jurassic World had just come out. This is probably the live half animatronic, half puppet suits with people walking around and doing a performance.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I have the
first thing that they did, the arena tour.
yeah, I have the synopsis right. It says, with an unrivaled arena production quality, Jurassic World comes to life against a backdrop of captivating scenery where dinosaurs from the iconic franchise, including fan favorite Velociraptor, Blue, and Tyrannosaurus Rex more than 40 feet in length, take center stage. The production features more than 24 film-accurate, life-size dinosaurs with scale, speed, and ferocity operated by animatronics and performers. So I
Yep.
guess, yeah, so is that similar to what you saw or no?
Yes, but that was similar to the Walking with Dinosaurs exhibit I did, which is
Okay.
for small children. And just one of my good friends who was willing to do anything with me came up from New York City. On the train, I picked him up in New Haven. We did lunch in Hartford. We watched the show, and I drove him back, and he took the train home from New Haven. So it sounds like it's a mix of the exhibit that I saw at the Philly Museum mixed with the Walking with Dinosaurs arena tour thing, which was fun. You know, you learn a little bit about dinosaurs, you see the animatronics, and they tell a little story, and it's cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely would. I never saw that one. But reading this, if it comes in around this area, I would definitely love to check it out. Oh,
Usually at XL Center or in Hartford or
yeah,
Bridgeport usually has these cool things. Maybe even possibly the casinos have
yeah.
been hosting kind of events too.
That's
But
what I'm hoping they have it at the Civic Center or the XL Center because I like that better than the casinos, but it would still
the
be interesting to see.
whenever anything dinosaur related like comes up, people are always like, Nikki, you should do this. Did you see? Did you see? Did you see? And I was like, oh yeah, but thank you.
Come on, I knew
always,
about that a long time ago.
it's always geared to children, but I don't mind going as a child-free adult.
Definitely, why not?
Sometimes like I'll talk to my friends and be like, hey, do you want to bring your child and come with me? So I have like an excuse to do the child thing. But
That's like me with Jaws. I I grew up with that movie just like the way you grew up with Jurassic Park. So anytime there's any kind of Jaws thing, I mean, I've been to Martha's Vineyard. I don't know how many times they had the Jaws tour, visiting the cast and meeting everybody. So yeah, so like you are with Jurassic Park, that's how I am with Jaws. So I definitely know. And if there's anything going on, I'm like, I'm there.
yep.
Unfortunately for me, most of the cast members and crew, they're starting to die off. So there's not really too many left.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what'd you think of? It was a great casting choice. And when I was reading about this, Spielberg waited because he was directing Chaplin at the time, and he wanted to wait till it was over. Sir Richard Attenborough as Dr. Hammond. I thought that was a great choice. I can't
Yes.
picture anybody else. I mean, I know it's easy to say now because after the movie's over, like I can't picture anybody else and in that role, but I really can't picture anybody else in that role.
Yeah, he was really good. He has like that sweet grandpa vibe to him, but
Yeah.
still like that like sneaky, wealthy bastard vibe too.
But you also have sympathy for him too, and you realize that he's not really a bad guy. He's trying something, and it just backfires on him. He didn't really
Yep.
He didn't think nobody thought it was going to end up the way it did. So at the end of the movie, you're like, he's not that bad of a guy after all. And I think that's one of the reasons Spielberg had him live, because in the novel he didn't live, he didn't
Yeah.
make it. And let's see, I'm going through the list, the different trivia. We could get your opinion on this. I was reading about Ariana Richards, who played Lex. The kitchen was her favorite scene. It was filmed in 2 weeks with raptors there most of the time and a man in a suit some of the time. And anyone in a raptor suit could only do it up for about 15 minutes because they bent over in a downhill skiing position, which is very physical. The raptor clicking its toenails was done with a puppeteer walking on raptor legs.
Yeah, that is like, I think that's such a great scene too. I don't think it's one of the ones when people think about Jurassic Park that it's the iconic scene, but I do think it's the scariest scene because you've already fallen in love with these kids. You've seen these kids go through serious trauma already and nearly die like 6 other times. Poor Lex was terrified of every dinosaur, also a vegetarian like me, and she's like, is it a vegetarian with the brachiosaurus, and they're feeding them, and then it sneezes all over her face. And then Tim had already been electrocuted by the fence coming back on.
Well, let's stop right there. So I want to tell you a story about that. I interviewed Stanley Livingston, who plays Chip in My Three Sons. I don't know if you ever heard of that show. It's a TV show from the 60s and 70s. I was talking to him, and he said he was talking about how his friend was a midget, and she gets a lot of parts in movies. And he said one of her most famous parts was playing that scene in Jurassic Park. That was his friend. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
that being a stunt double.
Yeah, his friend was a midget stunt double. She plays small kids, and that was one of the kids she played was Lex's character when she got electrocuted. Or was it Tim? Timmy, right?
Tim gets electrocuted.
Yeah. So it was him that he was stunt doubling for.
Yeah, I just think that the kitchen scene is it really is scary, and I mean, so is the initial like T-Rex in the car with the kids with the light, and they can't shut it off, and then they have to run away, and of course the best death scene of all, which is obviously the lawyer, and then you get Dr. Ian Malcolm going, well, you gotta go, and they find
Newman's character.
What?
Then we had I can't remember his real name, but Newman from Seinfeld.
Oh, Nedry. A great villain, dies fairly early, and then of course the villains kind of become the dinosaurs. Yeah, what a great and then there's always that part, didn't say the magic word. And I just love how like nervous lying he gets before he's like, oh, I'm gonna shut things down and it's gonna reboot, and the whole place is pristine, and then you look at his desk and it's just like trash, which I would also envision probably um Newman from Seinfeld's apartment probably look like too.
Yeah.
Like good parallels between those two guys.
Oh, yeah. They picked the perfect person to play that part.
Yeah.
Another person we have in that movie is a very early, not quite the star yet, Samuel Jackson.
Yes. Yes. And then the moment where she's like, "Oh, I made it. Like I didn't get attacked by raptors. Oh, it's you." And then she turns and it's just his bloody arm.
I love that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I love and I can't think of the actor who played him, but Dr. Wu.
oh
This,
yeah.
this is a mild spoiler, but he ends up becoming a long haul character through the franchise into Jurassic World as well.
Yeah, well, I did know he was in the last one, wasn't he? Because I
Yeah.
remember, yeah.
A couple prior. So he kind of has like a cool character arc where he's kind of like villainy, and then he kind of I feel like he comes around and hopefully redeems himself at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I missed some in between, but I saw the last one. I think he definitely did. It's,
Yeah, I can't remember which Jurassic. I think the second one where they're selling the dinosaurs.
yeah, oh wait, yeah, I think I saw that one too. I can't remember that. It's I don't know. I sort of lost track. So how many do we have now? 5 or 6?
6.
6. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just want to see. Let's see. What about? Did you see? You know a lot about the making of it too. Is they had that huge hurricane during the filming of it. That was a big disaster. But then I think they didn't. From what I read, Spielberg had people go out and film the hurricane before they were locked in, so they can use some of that in the film.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure if it was like some of the scenes with Nedry and getting killed by the spitting Dilophosaurus, or if it was the maybe when they're searching for Dr. Grant and they're all running around soaking wet in their raincoats, Dr. Grant, or if that was just regular effects.
Yeah, it doesn't say. It just says that he had them go out and film scenes before they got locked in, and then I'm just reading more about it. What fascinates me is like when you see a movie and you realize later like how they do it. And one of the scenes, you were talking about the kitchen scene, they said in the freezer scene, the raptor was on wheels and had to be pushed, and the claws hit Mazzello on the forehead. He fell to the floor dizzy, but was okay. Spielberg had the whole crew sing "Happy Birthday" to Mazzello, consider his birthday present. So, like you said, that was to me that probably was the best scene in the movie.
I think there's the poop scene is pretty great, where she just like elbow deep into the Triceratops poop. Again, though, I was 8. Poop was still really funny.
It's still funny.
So that was something that was going to be very iconic, that I would keep with me for forever.
Well, you know what's funny? I was reading that the most asked for Laura Dern, the most asked question was the poop, and the most asked question, which I guess she refuses to talk about anymore, is Ariana Richards. When the dinosaur sneezes on her, for some reason, she's just so sick of people asking her about that. She doesn't like to talk. That's according to what I read, but I don't know. If I was known for one thing, I would love it. I'd go to every convention. I'd be like, if I had one line and be like, yeah, that was me. I would never get sick of that.
Yeah. Who was what you talking about, Willis?
Oh yeah, Gary Coleman.
Always. In the early days of New York Comic Con, I was I've been doing the costuming stuff. I really am not a fan of the cosplay term, but you know, I was doing stuff in the early days of New York Comic Con, 2007, 2008. It was still at the Javits, but was only in a quarter of the Javits Center in New York City. And we were staying at the New Yorker Hotel, and all of the celebrities were also staying at the New Yorker hotel, and Gary Coleman was one of the guys there. And we rode in the elevator with him a couple times, and every single one of us we just kept wanting to shout, "What you talking about, Willis?" But we knew it would annoy him. And
You know, it's funny. Speaking of that, they did a show. They've been doing live action shows of the old '80s shows. So they did Facts of Life. They did Different Strokes. They did All in the Family. They did Jefferson. Did you see any of those?
no,
All right. Well, they did Different Strokes, and Gary Coleman was played by Kevin Hart. Willis was played by Damon Wayans. It was hilarious. And Snoop Dogg played the friend. So they do real episodes, but they had Gary. You got people who are watching this, check it out on YouTube. Different Strokes with Kevin Hart. It's hilarious. He does a great Gary Coleman. But yeah. I met Todd Bridges, who played Willis, and he was, when I met him, it was actually probably only 2 years ago. So he very mellow, very quiet, but yeah, it's just a lot of people want to do the same lines, go up to him, but he was very friendly. But I know Gary got all wrapped up in the stardom, and we got sick of. Well, I mean, he had the whole thing with his parents ripping him off. And
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I've been doing like costuming ever since I was a little kid. So my mom started off by making all my Halloween costumes as a little girl, and then by the time I was like 12, I wanted to make crazy, extravagant costumes. So my best friend and I, we made half of a sandwich out of cardboard we were together sandwiches. I was a Coke can. I made a centaur costume. So, super nerd alert. I'm also in the 501st in the Rebel Legion. So I do puppetry through Elmwood, based here in Connecticut. And I always wanted to build a raptor suit, and I have all these ideas, and like, I'm pretty sure I know how to do it, but I think it's going to be a couple grand to pull it together. And at this point, having been married 11 and a half years and living in a small Cape style house for nearly 8 years, I don't know if my husband would be too thrilled to just find a raptor suit in the garage one day.
Yeah, I don't know. If I were him, I'd love it. Be like, this is awesome.
So at Dinosaur State Park, they do have a Dilophosaurus suit that they wear from time to time. And I had gone there with some friends and who hadn't been there since they were children, much like you. And they had the suit there, and I was talking to them. I was like, when do you get to wear this? Like, who does it? And they're like, oh, we wear it from time to time, but we all hate it. And I was like, if you need someone to wear the dinosaur suit, I'm your girl.
You'd be perfect for it. Did they ever call you back and say, let's do it?
No, because it was within like 6 months COVID hit. So I feel like summer of 2019 or 2018. I was 2019. So because not a bunch of us couldn't get down to Dragon Con, so we stayed up here and did our own convention in Rocky Hill, and we called it Plesiosaur Con. So we went to Dinosaur State Park and had dinner and drinks at the bar, and like just made our own like convention and wore costumes around a random hotel.
Love it. You are very creative. I mean, I know a lot of the different things you do besides what you told me, like Elmwood Productions. You also do some role playing at some of the other museums. I think dinosaurs are the next step for you. I can't believe you haven't done it yet.
I know. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be a paleontologist, and I also really loved the moon. So I actually thought I should be a paleontologist on the moon because no one had done it yet, and it sounded really cool. But this is a huge spoiler, but dinosaurs never were on the moon, so there's no wonder there hasn't been a paleontologist on the moon. So I then transferred to more exciting dreams like becoming president.
I think a more exciting dream and more fun dream would be having dinosaurs on the moon. I don't think being president would want to be any fun or would be any fun. And if this is probably another spoiler alert, but who cares? The Fast and Furious movies, if they can make it into space in a Fast and Furious car, you can bring a dinosaur on the moon.
That's definitely a spoiler for me. I didn't
know. Oh, sorry about that.
That's where we are. That's where it's gone to.
Yes.
Going back to like Universal Studios and all the rides there, there's the Fast and the Furious ride there, and that one is just so campy and ridiculous and just all out bad. If you're not in the front row or on the side in that ride, it's terrible. And you're like, what is happening? But the Jurassic Park ride is really great. When I went in April last year for my birthday, with some of my friends, we dressed up as from Jurassic Park. I was Ellie Sattler, my friend Kate was Dr. Grant, and our friend Kay, he was Timmy. And I have a screen accurate, but not screen use, raincoat that's from Jurassic Park that I bought from one of the guys on the Jurassic Park Jeep forum, because that's something else I want to build. And I wore that around the park. And when we did the ride and I got to ride, and they let us wait so we could be in the front, and it was just like really incredible. We got off and they're like, was it everything you hoped it would be? And I was like, so.
You know, if you ever do that again, I want to be Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I want to go down to Florida for like a ridiculous long weekend to go to the parks and dress up and be crazy.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Count me in.
But it's so fun. I have some great pictures, and then they have the raptor suit down there too. It's always usually blue or baby raptors, which I think is the puppet, and then they're holding it, the fake arm, and but it's gonna jump scare you. You know that, but your inner 7 and 8-year-old is just so excited to see a dinosaur. And they tell you not to touch it, and then you try to touch it anyway, because God forbid you follow one direction and it like tries to bite you and you jump. And there's just some brilliant photos of the three of us just going and like posing and screaming. And the photographer there is really great too. And they're just like rapid firing with your phone, taking all these pictures, and my phone then like put it into movies. It's really cool.
Next time I see you, I have to check that out. Yeah, I think the funniest story that I have regarding dinosaurs is years ago, I took my friend's daughter to the dinosaur museum. She was about 4 years old, and there was an exhibit with she goes, where are all the real dinosaurs? How come they're all fake? She had no. I said, they've been going a long time.
Oh, all my friends are dead. That meme. One of my students had the shirt that was the meteorite headed to Earth, and had a map that said like Dino Land. My students wearing that. It was so funny. I also really like the technology in the film too. Like, they're in the Jeep, and Lex is like, oh, it's an interactive CD-ROM. Just, you can push the screen.
Oh, I know.
And then when Tim finds the night vision binocular goggle headset, and the lawyer's like, where did you find that? He goes, under the seat. And he's like, well, is it heavy? And he's like, yes. And he's like, well, then it's expensive. Put it back. And of course he didn't listen, and that's like kind of what got them into trouble with the T-Rex later on. So
yep.
Let's see I have so many, like, but
I know, me too. I'm trying to, as we're talking, I'm trying to go through, but all the ones that I see we've already covered so far. But there's I was going to print up. There's 57 pages worth of Jurassic Park trivia that I had. So there's, and let's see. While you're looking, let's see if I can find something that. Let's see, many.
I think just like going back to like my childhood, and things were still quite gendered, and like, dinosaurs, those are for boys.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, okay, but I also really like dinosaurs. So just always playing with the figurines, and I had like all the Jurassic Park toys. Between me and like my friend who I always went to the movies with as a kid, we had all the toys and would set up the compound and play dinosaurs for hours.
But yeah, no, I love the movie, but so when I saw it, let's see, I was 80, so I was like over 30. So I was like, for me, I loved it, but I really wasn't into it as like as I was. Like I said, for me, like going back to Spielberg. It was like for me, your Jurassic Park was my Jaws. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it was like. But I enjoy. Like I was just not too long ago, maybe about 2-3 years ago. They at the drive-in in Mansfield, they had a double feature with Jurassic Park and Jaws. I loved it. Seeing it on the big screen and
Oh, that
driving
was.
again. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure I saw it in the drive-in a ton too, because we would all pile in and go to the Mansfield drive-in. See
Yep.
it.
I love that place.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I think we did go see it in the drive-in, and just falling asleep in the back of my parents' like Subaru hatchback, and them just leaving us asleep back there, driving home. Totally safe.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I miss those days.
Probably safer than waking me though. They I don't even know how many times I've seen this movie, but it's gonna be 30 in June.
Oh, I know. I I just think I saw about it. Like when you mentioned the '90s, it doesn't really sound that long ago, but then you're like, wow, that's 30 years ago.
No.
So which is gonna be, what I love, because now they've been doing a lot of, with the 30-year anniversary, and Fandango will put out in the theaters for a limited release, and to get a chance to see these movies. I mean, to me, I mean, so many people like, oh, why waste time going to the movies? I love the theater experience. I love seeing it with the surround sound, the popcorn, the soda.
Yep.
So I will see it anytime in the theater that it's playing.
I wonder if they're gonna do a 30th anniversary of it or not.
Sure, I mean, it was like one of the biggest movies of all time. So I'm guessing that I mean, I know they do it due to inflation. They'll figure out like how, but even when Jurassic Park came out, movies weren't as expensive as they are now. So
No.
I mean, if you wanna say like the most biggest box office hit, Meet the Fockers probably made a hell of a lot more money than Gone with the Wind, but in reality, it really didn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they figure it out, but Jurassic Park, I think, is still in the top 10, isn't it, for all-time movies?
Oh, I don't know.
Would,
I'm looking to see if anything was coming out in the theaters, because I want to go. I'd love to go see it in the big screen again. But they're gonna do.
You know what? I have it right here. It's funny that I mentioned that, because I was scrolling. It says the highest grossing film of 1993. It outdid Steven Spielberg's own E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and then the biggest box office success in film history, not adjusted for inflation. It would hold that record until Titanic 1997, and then
Yeah.
James Cameron would also outperform himself with the release of Avatar.
Yeah.
So
Top 3.
that's what it's saying right here. And that was, I'm not sure what year this trivia was out, but yeah, I personally, if I had to, all between those three movies, Jurassic Park blows the other two out of the water. The second Avatar I thought was good, but I don't know.
I haven't seen it. I do want to see it. With all these movies though being over 3 hours long, they need to redo the intermission. Like, yes. I think Gone with the Wind has the intermission.
Yeah.
All the musicals, when the Music Man like has the intermission, like it's so nice to like have that stand up, move, pee break, know how much time you have to get some more snacks.
Yeah, see, if they thought that's a great idea, because they can use that as a money-making experience. Like, oh, you know what? Let me go get some more popcorn. Let me go get some more shit. Let me get another soda. So they definitely should do that. And I agree with you, because some movie, I mean, I go to the Plainville AMC, and there's only one bathroom, which is if you're way down at the end, you have to run. I mean, you need a golf cart just to get to the bathroom by the time you get there. So, and there's some movies, I always try to find those, right, it seems like it's going to be a little slow here, but then you come back like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't know if you saw the movie with Michelle Wu. It's called Everywhere, Everyone, Every Place, something like that. But that movie is nonstop. Luckily, I saw that at home, because I missed it when it was in the theaters. If I saw it in the theater, I'd use the bathroom. If I missed 1 second, I would be completely lost. I agree, because I did see Gone with the Wind in the theaters. And after like the 2.5 hour break, they're like, all right, everybody take a 15-minute break. I loved it.
I that's one of my problems with the Marvel movies, is they're so long. There's a lot to put in, and they're really fun, but they're really long. There's no pee break, and it's a lot of falling.
Yes.
Falling from buildings, falling from planes, falling from other superheroes dropping you. Lots of falling in Marvel movies.
Yeah. So that's what I think for me. I mean, the only ones I really watch now, I love Deadpool. I think that's hilarious. And even Ant-Man's good, but for me, I just got sick of it because there's so many coming out, and to me, I mean, I'm not sure. Are you into the Marvel movies at all?
Not really anymore. When I used to work for New Britain Public Schools, I was working with 18 to 22-year-olds doing like life transitions. So, they either need a little bit help socially or cognitively. And we would do things on Fridays with their paychecks. And sometimes I would get to take them to movies, and we would see some of the Marvel movies on the day they came out. We saw some of the Star Wars movies on the day they came
Yeah.
out. I mean, so that was pretty fun. But I don't think like now I would actively seek out those movies. I
Well,
think
similar.
I'm kind of burnt out as well.
Well, no, another one that got burnt out for me was Star Wars because back in the 70s when they first came out was 77 Star Wars. 3 years later, 1980 was Empire. 3 years after that, 83 was Return of the Jedi. So it became like an event. Now they did so many movies like, oh, okay, here's another Star Wars. 6 months later, and which I think is hilarious because I actually like this one, the Han Solo movie, Solo.
Mm.
And like, oh, it was such a big disaster. It was such a flop. It made like close to $1 billion or something like that. Like, oh, that's a flop. But that's when they said, you know what, maybe we need to take a break because I think it was oversaturated. That's exactly what's going on with the superhero movies. It's like, all right, we already know it's going to be a sarcastic superhero. They're going to make a lot of bad jokes, and then they're going to save the day. It's almost it's like a Lifetime movie, a Hallmark movie. It's the same plot, but just different characters.
Yep, pretty much. But I do like what they're doing with the Star Wars, where they're doing the series, because the series are really nice and thought out, and it's you're getting 8 to 10 hours of storyline, but an hour at a time, which is nice in little chunks. I really dig that, and then the connecting to the other series and filling in the plot holes in the timeline. There's also the Jurassic Park series on Netflix too, Camp Cretaceous. I've only seen a couple of the episodes. I haven't seen all of it. It's really cute and fun. Last year at the beginning of the school year, at the school that I'm teaching now, because it was still COVID times and we were in an older building, the kids had to have lunch in the classrooms, and because their masks were off, because this was still masking time, they had to have a silent lunch. So we would watch stuff on Netflix, and that was one of the series I watched with one of my classes, because there was a couple kids in there that were also like really into dinosaurs.
I never even heard about this. Tell me about that. Who was in the series and what was it about?
It's animated, and it's
Okay.
about a couple kids that they're planning to do a dinosaur summer camp experience, and there's like certain kids that get picked to go. One of them's like a social media influencer, a rich guy, and a foreign kid, and they all just kind of go to the dinosaur, and then obviously just typical Jurassic Park plot. They're dinosaurs, and you can't control or train dinosaurs. So
But it's funny. I never even heard of that. What channel is it on?
it's Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, I should watch that. I should start binging that because it's really cute. I also play on my phone. I used to play Ingress all the time, which was the game that came out before Pokemon Go. It was pretty much Pokemon Go beta. And then I was a beta tester for Pokemon Go, and then and then I picked up it's called Jurassic World Alive. So you go around and you collect dinosaurs in the real world with your phone. Um, and a couple of the dinosaurs from the video game are referenced from Camp Cretaceous, the cartoon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I learned a lot today. So, are they done with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World? Are they making any more? Was that the last one?
I think that's probably the last one. Part of me is like, no, I want more in the future, but it was a really beautiful kind of like
Yeah.
close end cap to the story, which I liked. So I think it's probably done, which I think is okay.
I liked how it ended and how they wrapped it up. So I think the same thing too. But what's going to happen is they'll see the box office results and like, hey, you know what? We can make one more. You know, people people still are still into it, and there will be people that could go see it, but it's just
Me,
yeah, yeah.
the me world. If there's dinosaurs in it, okay. Or if there's bringing me back to my childhood nostalgia, okay, I'll do
Why
it.
not? It's funny for the most part. I'm trying to think. Like for me, like growing up, my favorite movie was Jaws, and then like around Jaws 3, I said I did watch them all, but I just couldn't take it anymore. But as you said, just like you, I was there every time. I was the first person to buy a ticket. And like, yeah, let's see a movie about a shark where he gets revenge because the other shark, the guy who's dead, killed his father. The
Yeah,
father shark falls into Bermuda. That was Jaws: The Revenge. I'm talking about, of course, one of the worst movies ever made. But you know what I love? Michael Caine is the main actor in that movie, and I love his attitude. He goes 3 months in the Bahamas. Why not? So that's a vacation for me. I don't really care about the movie. So he makes all these bad movies. He said he picks his movies now where they're filming. He goes, all right, the Bahamas, I'll do it. All right, Bermuda, yeah, let's make the movie. And so I don't really care less what it is.
must be nice.
I know exactly. When you get to that point in your career, you're like, yeah, that's good. I don't have to worry about my legacy or getting other roles. This one's so
Yeah.
bad.
Between my love for like Star Wars or anything dinosaurs, like Mark Twain or the Tudors, even like you're gonna put it out there and it's gonna, even if it's complete trash, I'm like, I'm all in.
Yeah, hey, why
Got
not?
me. With the
Well,
nostalgia or just the idea of something. So yeah.
yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. That what you just said, somebody might say, yeah, let's make one more. We can get away with it, but I really hope that they don't. I mean, like you said, what they're doing with TV series and they can do other things like Star Wars is doing. They're making all these different series. They don't always have to just have it be theatrical releases. They can find a way to get the story out somewhere else now.
It'd be cool to see like the building of Jurassic World, the amusement park, and do a couple mini series on that, and mini series on raising baby Blue and raising all the raptors. Like I would love that. Or even if it was animated, because that could totally go towards the kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, and I love like all the toys here and there too. I've got a couple of the Lego sets, and I have some of the Funko Pops. Not a lot. I gotta really like be careful with the things that we collect and put in the house. So I only have two of the Jurassic Park Funko Pops. I'm on the search still for a sexy Ian Malcolm. So if anybody out there has one, try to get a hold of me and I will buy it from you, because I haven't been able to track down a sexy Ian Malcolm Funko Pop. But I'm a huge fan of like Facebook Marketplace and
Yeah.
the free groups, your local free buy nothing groups. And somebody was selling one of my favorite toys from as a kid. It was there were battle Jurassic Park dinosaurs. I got the T-Rex, which I loved that toy, and they had like a chunk of the skin that would come out. I immediately lost that, like I'm sure every single child did. But there was a guy not too far from me here in my town, and was selling a couple of them, and I always wanted the Triceratops, always. And for $15, I got it.
All right.
Of course, the skin is missing because every child lost it immediately. But I have that, and it's in my room next to my stuffed Sarah from The Land Before Time. My two Triceratopses.
Well, it's funny. I'm sure you already know like how this whole merchandising thing came about was with George Lucas in '77. He goes, I'm going to take a cut from the movie, and I want to I want to cut from the merchandise. And you're like, you're crazy. Who buys merchandise for movies in '77? And look what happened.
Yeah, well, even if you watch the end or the movie when they're in the shop, like they have they decide, okay, we're not gonna open the park, and there's just like a screen pan of the gift shop.
Yep.
And some of those toys, those stuffed toys, like I had those. Like they made those and we had them.
Yep.
That was
No, there's definitely a market for it. And I remember because I was 9 when the original Star Wars came out, so I remember that was like such a huge craze. Everybody wanted the Luke Skywalker, now everybody wanted the TIE fighter, everybody wanted the X-wing fighter, which I had most of that stuff as a kid. But yeah, now like you get a movie like that, and then they're endorsed by say McDonald's, you get it in a Happy Meal, and just yeah, I love all the merchandise from the movies.
yeah.
So
I need more shelf space.
I can only imagine. Is it filled with all the different dinosaurs?
I have lots of dinosaurs. I collected like model horses as a kid, so I have some of those up in my studio space. A couple of my Funko Pops. So Fisher Price also made dinosaur toys that I loved as a kid. So I have a couple of those that survived my childhood. I did because I knew early on that I wasn't gonna have kids. It was just something I always was like, it doesn't interest me at all. Um, so I gave away a lot of all of my dinosaur toys to my a good friend's little brothers who are now both graduated college and one is like married. So they have all my dinosaurs because like what are they gonna do? Just sit in the attic and not get played with? Like I wanted them played with. So
Yeah, it's similar to when I grew up. I had like all the Steve Austin dolls and the big GI Joe dolls, and now I see how much money they're worth. But I mean, who knows? They were in a toy box that my mother had when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. Never thought that they'd be worth money years later. It's just, but I had so many great toys that are long gone.
a couple things I've bought in two of the same thing. So again, like Star Wars, the 501st did a 501st action figure. And you could only buy it if you were in the 501st. So I bought three. One for me, one as a gift for a long gone boyfriend, and one to open and play with. So you have the keepsake one in the box, and then you have the toy to play with, so you can lose the parts and it's okay.
I love
And
it. I have friends that do that with comic books. One to read. One, I always say, when are you ever going to sell that? You're never going to sell that.
no, no.
But it's good. I have a huge collection of different things from the horror. So I'm a big horror movie fan. It's just what happened was when I moved to where I am now, I'm just like I really don't feel like I bought all these new things. So I'm like I don't have room for all the other things. So I just every once in a while I'll go down to the basement, take one. It's like oh wow I forgot all about this and put it up in the carry-out that I have. But I have like for me it's like all mostly horror movie stuff.
For a movie that's fairly scary and action packed, Jurassic Park doesn't have a lot of blood in it.
No,
It's got
that's
the
true.
boat and then the arm. Like you
Yeah.
don't really see and of course, like our sexy Ian Malcolm again, but you don't really see the lawyer blood in the body parts. And I don't know if that was just for the rating to keep it PG-13 or to not classify it as a horror. But I mean, my mom would probably 110% say that was a horror film. Where I'm like, it's no, it's just simply the greatest movie of all time.
I think as Spielberg got older, I don't know if this is the reason either. I'm just is he like one scene in E.T. When they're chasing the kids, the FBI chasing the kids on the bike, he replaced the gun with a walkie-talkie. He said, "Oh, I don't think that's right." So I wonder if, like, as he got older, he became more conservative, and he thought that maybe we don't
Mm.
really need to make a movie with blood. Which I like him because he comes from the school of Hitchcock, where it's more about getting the reaction of the actors and like, what the hell are they looking at? And that's what Hitchcock was always good at. So you see a lot of like Laura Dern, Ellie Grant and Ellie and Sadler and Grant going, and you're like, what? So he does a
Oh, the
lot of that.
turn.
Yes, exactly. So you see a lot, and there's like, I think that's the way he films, and with even without the blow, is probably more effective than if it was just a all-out slasher film or all-out blood fest, gore fest. I
Dinosaur
think.
Blood Fest. Well,
Yeah.
I think they did. I didn't see it, but the Velocipaster, that might be considered a horror movie.
Oh, really? Wait, that's Velocipaster. I want to see that one.
I think it's real gory and like really campy and just plain flat out stupid. But I mean,
Yeah.
pandemic, people were bored, so I think that was one of the movies that made its rounds because it was on like one of the cheaper free streaming sites.
So it's actually where can people find that? I'm
Oh my
guessing
god,
online.
online there. I don't know. Let's see.
Velocipaster. That's funny.
I'm trying to find it. Oh, there's possibly a second Velocipaster coming out. Oh, there's a Kickstarter for it.
Uh,
Um, the Velocipaster. Um,
let's see.
out in 2018. Um, I want to say it's on Netflix.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I never even heard of it.
And after losing his parents, a priest travels to China where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. Oh, it's on Prime. It's on Prime Video. At least it was at one point in time because just scrolling through, it's showing it's on Amazon.
When you were looking at that, I was looking at some more facts and figures of originally, they wanted to play Hammond. I guess it was Sir Sean Connery was offered the role.
Okay.
Which I
All
can
right.
sort of picture that.
Yeah.
They said it was based on his performance as Professor Henry Jones Sr. in Indiana Jones, but he turned it down.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see that. And I guess in the book, where was it? It said that in the book, the sick animal is a Stegosaurus, said by Ian Malcolm to be sick because the Jurassic era air had more oxygen than was that Holocene, part of the chaos theory. What's your opinion on the chaos theory?
I don't know. I don't think I know enough about it.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of there was the movie The Butterfly Effect I watched, but
I like that movie.
yeah, I think it connects well to the movie and just how you don't want to bring in one small change and then make a giant disaster from it, like they say in the movie, like with the butterfly wings, like a butterfly flying in Mexico creates a hurricane in the Carolinas, but
Yeah, I don't really know enough about it either but it's definitely interesting. And according to what they're saying, that's basically what Michael Crichton's belief is. Let's see. Oh yeah, see, it says in the original script, the T-Rex in the lobby was hooked up to pulleys like a giant marionette. In the ending, Grant was going to man the controls and act as a puppeteer, using the skeleton's head and feet to crush the raptors.
That's not nearly as cool as how it ended.
No, that's when Spielberg said he actually redid it. He goes, "No, we got to make it." He goes, "Everybody's gonna expect the T-Rex. The T-Rex is the hero of this movie." And
I think how they were on the skeletons and they rotated, that was some solid suspense too. You still want the bones to break, but at the same time you're like, don't die, I love you, characters. There's lots of fun moments in the movie too where with the timing, like, well, it's not like they can learn to open doors, and then the next shot the raptor claw like starting to play with the dining room door. And I love the sound of the velociraptors too as they start talking to each other and communicating. I think that's the one that has the dolphin noise because you can almost hear it in the bark, oh sound.
Oh, and you know what? Speaking of, you said you like The Land Before Time.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie.
All right, so then you're gonna know who I'm talking about because I just found this. Steven Spielberg wanted Judith Barcy for the role of Lex. He
Oh,
previously worked with her on The Land Before Time. He was shocked to discover, unfortunately, that she'd been murdered in 1988 by her own father. That was the girl.
yes, she was the one who voiced not Ducky, right?
So I'm not sure. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. But that
Uh,
is the girl that he wanted to play Lex.
I think it was Ducky. Let me see. Judith, yeah, Judith Eva Barcy. Um she played Ducky. Oh, and she was also the little girl in All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. I never. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen those
That's
movies in a long time. But you're gonna love this. Speaking of, remember I mentioned earlier, I said James Cameron was wanted to direct it. James Cameron said in an interview he wanted to do the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Grant, Bill Paxton as Malcolm, and Charlton Heston as Hammond. No
no.
way. Yeah, no.
He should like remake it, but just do a like a trailer just so we could see what it would be like.
Yeah. Well, to me, it'd be like, did you ever see the movie Grindhouse where they had the fake trailers in the beginning? It's
Oh, yes.
yeah, when they had like Machete and they had Thanksgiving. It was just fake trailers. That's what they could do with that because that to me is a joke. There's no way that that would be believable. I like all three actors. I like Schwarzenegger. I like Bill Paxton. I like Charlton Heston. But nah, not for those three roles.
Ugh, let me see. I wanted to see if there's anything else on my list that we didn't talk about.
So I'm going through the list. Oh, listen to this. This is another one. Jim Carrey was considered for the role of Ian Malcolm.
No.
No, that's another miscast.
There's like nothing sexy about him. How could he just sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm shirtless and vulnerable"? Like
Alrighty then.
that's not that's not Jim Carrey.
No, I can't picture him in this role. Let's go through his facts and figures again. Uh,
I
let's
don't.
see. Oh, listen to this. Sandra Bullock, Gwyneth Paltrow, Julianne Moore, Helen Hunt, and Terry Hatcher, Elizabeth Hurley, and Sherilyn Fenn tested for the role of Ellie Sattler. Moore played Dr. Sarah Harding in The Lost World.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I could picture her. And actually, Sandra Bullock. I like, but I don't know if she'd be taken as seriously. But Julianne Moore is a great actress.
Yeah. We we didn't talk about like I like when they find the eggs and they finally realize. So at first they talk about how they fill in the DNA with the frogs.
Yeah.
Then um Dr. Malcolm says, "Oh, how are you gonna know they're all female? Are you gonna hike up their skirts and check?" And then when they're out and Dr. Grant finds the eggs, um, and then I thought like the ending of the movie, they're all in the helicopter. They're like, "Okay, this was like the dumbest idea ever. Why did we try to do this?" And then they look out the window and there's the giant like pelicans
Yeah.
flying. I thought that was kind of cool because obviously, now birds are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs. So it was just kind of another one like life finds a way and evolution happens and whatever. And it was just like, I don't know, I thought it was a beautiful end scene to cap the movie.
Oh, definitely. I agree with that. I love that ending and that sort of paved the way. Like, all right, well, we know this is really going to be the end of the series. And I didn't. I mean, I did. I guess I realized at the time. I didn't realize that Steven Spielberg directed the second one as well. Because, like you said, it's not really that memorable. It's
No, I only really remember because the opening scene is like a little girl who's out there on the beach and she's like feeding the little um compies. Compies. What is compy short for? I can't even remember now.
I saw that movie once in the theater.
The little tiny dinosaurs, and she's feeding them, and then they start attacking her. And that was the opening scene of the wealthy people in their yacht
Yeah.
on the beach, and then that's when they go back. And And that's the one that has the Pachycephalosaurus with the bald heads.
I I have no memory of that. I saw it once in the theater and I said, it's okay. And that's when I stopped watching them for a little while and then I went back. I think I saw the last two or three, maybe. Like I
There's
missed.
most people have like a movie rule in their house. So like if you're scrolling through trying to figure out what to watch on TV, if there's a movie, a certain movie on the TV, all bets are off and that's what we're watching. That's Jurassic Park in our house. Like if we're scrolling through and any of the Jurassic Parks are on, that's where we stop and stay for the evening.
Your husband's as big of a fan of Jurassic Park as you are?
No, he's tolerable of it though. Like
Oh,
I mean, it's a great movie. It's probably in almost everyone's top 10 favorite movies of all time. Um, the second and the third one, he's not like so doesn't really abide by the rule as much, but um, he'll hang out for a little bit before going to play a video game and do something else. But I'll watch them again and again and again and again, obviously.
I'm trying to think if I have a movie like that. I don't know. I don't know if I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, some of my favorite movies growing up were, like, as I mentioned, Jaws, then Evil Dead, Halloween. When I see them, I was like, yeah, but I don't think I stopped to, like, all right, I got to watch them all. Especially the Halloweens I gave up on.
Yeah, there's how many of those now?
I think there's probably about 10. No, was it 10 or 11? I think. I don't know. The first two are great. Then the third one wasn't even a Michael Myers movie. It was more of John Carpenter was going to release a movie every year, and it was originally called Season of the Witch. But Michael Myers became so popular, they just tagged Halloween on there. So it's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. But it had nothing to do with any of that. They realized that was a name that brought people into theaters in the 70s and early 80s.
But you got that hook.
Yep. Well, do you have anything that we missed about? I'm looking through the trivia. It seems like we got most through a lot of the trivia. Which, let's see.
I actually I think we touched on almost everything, and I had 2 pages of notes written.
Yep, no, it's good. I was going a lot from memory. Then I was like, I just put the computer on just to trigger things that I maybe have forgotten. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was trying to watch this before we did this, and I definitely remember the movie well. But it's been such a crazy last couple of weeks. I didn't get a chance to. But doing this makes me want to watch it right now.
Yeah, and everyone should watch it again if they haven't seen it recently. And even though it's called Jurassic Park, only a few of the dinosaurs are from the Jurassic era. Our Connecticut dinosaur, the Dilophosaurus, being one of them. But also, I just like a huge shout out to all the museums and science centers all over. Like if you have something dinosaur related and feel inspired, like go check out the museum that has something, and check out the whole place, because a lot of museums suffered a lot from COVID. So even Dinosaur State Park, I was there early in the fall, and they don't have their gift shop open. It's very minimalist. Even the museum that I work at, the Mark Twain House, it's still limited tour capacity. And they're all just like really, really hurting. And these are institutions that are going to keep the science moving forward, to tell us more about dinosaurs and feathers, which raptors don't have feathers. And then tell us more, more. And that's how we know, like, the Pachycephalosaurus, they didn't butt heads. And there's the whole debate of Triceratops and Torosaurus. Are they the same? Are they not? And learning about my favorite dinosaur, that Protoceratops in the beak. So really supporting these types of institutions is really important. So sorry, I got on a random soapbox there, but
no, please. I love that soapbox. I want to talk to you about that because I saw something that happened with the Mark Twain House. Was there vandalism?
Yeah.
That's a shame. I love that place. I was just there recently, and I've been there so many times. Such a great and some. What happened?
My job there is I work in the living history program. So we dress up from the time period and give a tour through the home. So it's not going to be a normal, like, I'm the guide, I'm telling you about the house.
Yeah.
I represent and portray Katie Leary, the lady's maid to Mark Twain's wife, and I give you a tour, and it's set in 1890, and it's just starting December 23rd. People showed up with like rocks and little chunks of asphalt in their pockets and broke some windows. It was just like little tiny, like not even full breaks. Then they came back a second time and threw stuff and broke a statue. And a lot of the stuff that we have in the house, everything in the house is original to the home, the time period, or the family. But a lot of the stuff we have from the time period is on loan from other museums. So that statue isn't ours. It's on loan from the Wadsworth, also in Hartford. And then the third time they came, they threw like actual bricks. So, you know, we're struggling to come out of the pandemic and keep everyone safe. We get international visitors, so we're still in the, and because it's a historic home with historic HVAC, the tour sizes are smaller, but we still have to wear the masks in the house because it doesn't have the modern day like air cleanliness system in it, or hasn't been upgraded in a long time. So it's just not safe at the moment, and we just really need all the help we can get there. And I think any museum or science center or education center, really the last ones to open during the pandemic. Same thing with theaters. You know, Broadway was shut down for so long too.
And I'm hoping they caught these people.
So we're fairly certain we know who they could be. We think they're youths. And unfortunately, like I said, it's not like it was just like, oh, I'm walking, because the grounds are all open. You can show up there at any time and just walk around the house and see how beautiful it is lit up. It's not in a private area. It's not gated. It's just on the main drag in Hartford. So it wasn't as if people were just walking by and they looked at the ground like, oh, a stone. Oh, look, a window. They showed up with the things in their pockets. So a couple people have thought maybe it was like a deliberate for protest, because we've been very open and welcoming to all sorts of conversations with our book talks. I'm talking about people who are genderqueer, trans. This is going to probably air in quite some time, but tomorrow is the 6th of January, and they're doing a book talk with one of the Capitol police officers who wrote a book about the January 6th insurrection, which the anniversary is tomorrow. So there's been a lot of hate about that. However, I really think it was just like teenagers being rotten teenagers or early 20s bored, and this is what we're doing during break. So I don't know if they're trying to get into the house, and I hope it's not going to escalate further, but that's fortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame because people ruin so many great things. I mean, I hope they set up cameras now, so they
have cameras. So we had them caught on cameras, but we're setting up more cameras, putting up more lighting, and hiring more security officers so we can have 24/7 security.
Bad to do, but unfortunately, you have to do it. That's why it kills me that people wonder why we don't have good things or why things get canceled. Because of that. Like an example would be, remember I don't know what it's called now, but the Meadows. It was an outdoor place where they have concerts, and people were ripping the sinks out. I forgot which concert it was back in the 90s, ripping the sinks out, and they were lighting the grass on fire. Like, really? And then it's like, now you wonder why people stop doing things, because you just can't go and enjoy something.
Yeah, I believe it was Dave Matthews concerts in the 90s.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Ruining the Meadows.
What a shock there.
Yeah, that's a fun venue too, but yeah, it's harder to tailgate and really like enjoy the whole day because there's so many strict rules now, because doofuses got a doofus.
Yep. Well, I'm glad these two doofuses got together and talk about Jurassic Park finally. And whoever's watching this, if you have a movie you want us to talk about, or if you even want to be a part of this, just message me, richjc0729@gmail.com. That's richjc0729@gmail.com. And Nikki, if you have any other movies you want to do, just let me know.
Oh, will do. Absolutely. Maybe The Princess Bride, which is another one of my top favorites.
All right. Well, we'll definitely be talking soon about that.
All right. Have a good night, Rich. Thank you so much. And if any of you guys have that sexy Ian Malcolm Funko Pop, just hit up Rich and he'll hook you up with me because I would love
That's our goal. Let's get Nikki. Let's do a Kickstarter to get Nikki the sexy Ian Malcolm.
Or just send Jeff Goldblum to my way for a fun night out of jazz concerts.
I'm guessing you want the Ian Malcolm, not the Fly.
Yes, please.
All right. And on that note, thank you very much for watching this special edition with special guest Nicki LaPorte of Real Talk. We hope we'll be back very, very soon. This is the first time we've done this show, maybe in about a year and a half or so. There's so many movies out there we want to talk about. And once again, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.